Good day everyone, my name is Kieran King and today I'm going to talk to you about Bond, James Bond. Nope, just kidding, not that kind of bond. Instead, I'm going to be giving a brief overview on bonds as a financial instrument in just over the time it takes to listen to Skyfall by Adele. So what is a bond? A bond is essentially an IOU. It is issued by an organization, which could be a company or a government, and it is issued in exchange for money lent to it. Okay, so you have your lender here and your borrower of the money here. The lender lends money to the borrower and is given a bond in return, and this bond will state the duration of this loan as well as repayment details. So what does a bond actually look like? Let's draw a picture here, and this is a bond, and this is what the bond will say on it. So it will say IOU £100 to be repaid in 3 years' time, with an interest of 5% paid each year, and it will also say who has issued it. Okay, so this is an example of a bond. Now the IOU, this £100, is known as the nominal or par value. Okay, this is the amount the borrower will pay back to the bondholder at maturity. What is maturity? Well, to be repaid in 3 years' time, this 3 years' time is the maturity or redemption date. Okay, so when it hits 3 years, the bond is effectively matured, and that is known as the redemption date or the maturity date, and this is when the bond needs to be repaid. Interest of 5% is known as the bond's coupon, and the issuer is who has issued this bond. Now this could be the government, a company, an individual. In this case, it is the government or treasury. So now that we know what a bond looks like, what actually happens if I bought this bond? Well, let's say I bought this bond for £100, its nominal value, from the government or treasury. Every year I would get 5% back, which is its coupon, remember, which is £5. So I'm getting about £5 every year. In addition, at the end of the 3-year term, I would get the nominal amount of £100 back or repaid. So in total, I would receive £5 times 3 years, which is £15, plus the original £100 that I lent. So this comes to a total of £115, which means that if I invested £100, after 3 years, I would have made £15 of profit. Now, there are varying degrees of risk with bonds. Some bonds are considered higher risk, which means the issuer is more likely to default and not be able to pay back their loan. And some bonds are considered lower risk, which means the issuer will be less likely to default. So the greater the risk, generally the higher the coupon, as a higher reward is needed to attract investors to buy it. Fixed interest, floating rate, index linked. These are some other terms it's useful knowing when talking about bonds. Fixed interest is like we have seen in the example previously. The interest rate is fixed at 5% each year. However, sometimes this coupon may change and it will be referenced to a published interest rate, such as the London Interbank Offered rate or LIBOR. Basically, as this rate changes, so does the bonds, and we call this a floating rate bond. In addition, you might have bonds that adjust both the coupon and the principal amount to be repaid at maturity by referencing the prevailing rate of inflation. And these bonds are called index linked, as their returns are linked to an index, an inflationary index, such as retail price index, RPI, or consumer price index, CPI. So that's called index linked. Now I'm going to note here that bonds can also be traded, and there are huge bond markets that facilitate this. So using the example above with my 3-year coupon bond, maybe I have this bond and in 1 year I find a buyer who wants to buy that bond off me for X amount. This means that they become the holders of the bond and they receive the coupon payments for the next 2 years. But that's going into a whole new topic completely. So I hope this gives you a better understanding of what bonds are. It's a very basic tutorial, but hopefully that's going to give us a groundwork that we can build up on. So stay tuned for more financial educational videos in the future, and I look forward to seeing you soon.